It's going to be wonderful.
Okay.
Wow, very nice.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Bennington School District Board of Directors meeting for Wednesday, November 5, 2014. Citizens' comments. Do we have anyone that would like to approach or speak to the board or administrators? Seeing none, we'll move right along to task list from the last meeting.
Find out if we can petition as nonprofit to be placed on community town ballot for funding summer school programs. Jackie.
Yes, and I reported that to Ken. Basically, it was 500 signatures.
So we can.
So we can do it with 500 signatures.
Good. And there's a form.
What is the pleasure of the board with that information?
I think
No,
it's wonderful.
I think we should go out and get 500 signatures.
Do we?
We gotta come up with a figure, though.
Jackie, did they, what's the,
750.
do we
Pass
have
this
a
down.
deadline, meaning when should this be done?
I can go back, but I was going to do that, but nobody was,
Okay, could I ask you if you could find
Sure.
that out?
Sure, but I would imagine the deadline is like the month before.
Yeah, I think you have to, I mean, if we got it in by the end of January, we probably, or the middle of January.
Yeah,
you're
just
gonna
put one
have-
at each school.
You're gonna have to get it in before the warning, so it has to be probably by January 31st at the latest.
I'll go and pick up the paperwork and then give it to each of the principals. That's okay? But we have to decide on an amount to ask.
All right, can we put that down as a, Jim, as a line item for the next board meeting and have discussion from the principals and the board to see what we would possibly ask for and get that ready to go,
Well, how much do you need for summer?
right?
Summer program.
Summer program. All right? Okay. Jackie, what else on that list?
Form an ad hoc committee to look at zone and attendance, and that was supposed to be Jim, Jackie, and Jean, and we didn't meet. But we will report by the December meeting, because that's our due date.
All right.
So we're carrying it over.
That's a relief.
Anything else on that?
Yep. And I just did it. I forwarded the email that I got from Bill Talbot. We missed the deadline by a year. Last year, the consolidated construction aid sunset or went away. But they will be looking at it at the legislature this year. But this is the written notice I passed around,
All right.
basically. And the other one is Facilities Committee, and Paul was supposed to set a meeting date, and I didn't hear from him.
Okay.
Did you, Gene?
No.
And we'll discuss
Okay.
that further on.
So
Okay.
we'll
Yes.
just carry that on. And that was it.
Finance and Facilities, Treasurer's Report.
I didn't get it. It says it's been posted. Anybody see it?
Nope.
So I would suggest you take no action at this point.
No action at all on that, so we'll put that.
There was a lot of
we'll put
emails
the-
about it, though.
That there were bank issues.
Yes, there's some, the bank was upgrading their computer system at Merchants Bank, and therefore it wasn't ready. So what we'll do is we'll put that October date, a report onto the next month.
Yep.
All right? Personnel? Consent agenda. Anything that we have tonight, Jim? For consent?
You have a retirement enclosed,
We have a nomination.
and you have a nomination.
Do you want to handle it right now?
Yep.
Let's go.
Yeah, before you, a notice of retirement from Judith Johnson, a Partners in Reading Coordinator at Molly Stark Elementary School. So I ask you to accept that. Dawn, do you have any comment on that?
She's been a wonderful, wonderful employee for probably 11 years. She is retiring to be with her daughter in Massachusetts. She has served this district both at Catamount and Molly Stark and has done an exceptional job. Was a title reading teacher at one point with us, and she's just moving on, and she's, one of the things that we always recognize about Judy is that she gets free books into the hands of children. It's been wonderful.
So, a motion to accept her.
Motion to
Retirement.
accept the resignation.
Second.
Second it.
All those in favor signify by raising the hand. All those against? Any abstentions? Approved.
Then the nomination is for her replacement, Diane Morrissey, to fill the position of Partners in Reading, which is a, you have that on the nomination form before you, the hourly rate for that, and the not to exceed $14,000 per year.
Make a motion to accept the nomination.
Second?
All those in favor signify by raising their right hand. Any opposed? Okay.
And
What would happen if I raised my left?
Anything else, Jim?
no,
All right,
You got the minutes.
you got the minutes of the board.
yeah.
And warrants.
Thank you.
I move to accept the minutes and the warrants.
Second.
All those in favor signify by raising their hand.
Either one.
Okay. I want to go back. I've already moved beyond citizens' report, but I'm going to come back to it if you have something you'd like to address the board.
It's not fair.
Am I rushing you?
Sure can. No, I don't have a black pen.
No, nothing? No. All right.
Thank you.
All right. We'll go to the principals' reports. Let's start with Jim.
Well, I don't have anything prepared in the sense of what's going on educationally, other than a few updates of things that are happening. We're continuing to work on our SWIFT and school effectiveness plans, implementing some of the tasks that are related to that moving forward. Some of the team will be going to training next Thursday and Friday in Castleton to help to continue training with multi-tiered systems of support and co-teaching, which are two of our primary objectives in moving forward with SWIFT. In case you were not aware, we had a flea problem here at Bennell. Jerry Prue worked with me, worked with the pest control people. We hopefully have that under control. There was a decontamination, or whatever the right word would be, over the weekend. We sent out flyers to parents to let them know. Seems to be okay. It's not something that gets generated here, so we do have limited control. But it did become a problem, and we've addressed it, and hopefully we'll be okay. And there was an incident today that you may have heard about. Seemed to spread like wildfire. Students were outside on the playground around noontime. There was a police incident that was happening along the river walkway. Police officers asked class to go inside. We immediately did that. Called the police department was trying to call us, and we were trying to call them at the same time to find out what was going on. By the time we actually made connections, which was probably only 5 minutes, the police were back here saying everything's okay. We've resolved the issue. I sent out an alert to parents, let them know what was going on, and we got back to business. So those are a few things that are going on.
Any questions for
I
Jim?
saw it. I know what it was.
Do you have, your committees, are they working on that, SWIFT? Are they having enough time to collaborate?
No, that's, they do not.
Because
And
SWIFT
that's-
won't be successful if we don't collaborate.
That's a primary concern for us. We're trying to work ways, right now there are a couple of thoughts and ideas that Donna Leap is helping us with, that we may be able to find some outside funding in time to work. it's a problem we need to find a way to overcome, but we're trying to plod forward the best we can with what we have at the moment.
Donna?
A lot of the same as Ben L. We are working really hard with our GMS, Green Mountain Star, school improvement plans, as well as our SWIFT plan. Had a very productive faculty meeting this afternoon where we have a lot of new faculty at Molly this year, so really reintroduced Green Mountain Star, what SWIFT is, what Universal Design for Learning is, and what MTSS is. And we are getting ready to do an adoption vote, which we hope to do the first faculty meeting in December. Like Jim and his Ben L. crew, we will also be attending the SWIFT PLC next week in Castleton on Thursday and Friday, and then there will be another one the following week that we'll be attending for MTSS. So feel like we're really moving forward, and it feels good. But no, not enough time for
What's MTSS?
collaboration. Multi-tiered systems of support.
Okay. I know.
Sorry.
I just couldn't remember what it was.
RTI, the old RTI.
Yes.
It's changed
Donna,
the
tell me,
acronym.
how's the security system? How's it working?
Going really, really well. As you probably remember, we did not have this up and running before school started, so it was a real, big change for parents. They really have adopted to it very, very well. The secretary in the front office there, that's been, wonderful to greet people. We expected that there would be some pushback about not being able to get into schools when parents, without just walking in, they can still come in, obviously. But I think they're very respectful and are feeling that kids are very, very safe. So that's good. One other piece that I'd just like to add for Molly, because it happened today, our guidance counselor, Kathy Hunt, has organized through the Vermont Food Bank a food-to-go pantry. And that happens the first and third Wednesday of the month, right at Molly Stark. Vermont Food Bank truck comes, and any parent, family of Molly Stark can come and pick up as whatever they're offering that day.
It's wonderful.
Didn't
Typically,
you do that last year, something
yeah,
like
but
that?
it's the same Vermont Food Bank, but that was the backpack program,
Yeah.
which we're still
Yeah.
doing. But this is bags of groceries that they can take, carrots, potatoes.
Wow.
Yeah. Today there was water and,
5 families.
yes, thank you very much. I did hear about that today, Marie. Thank you for doing that.
Is that something that we could move over to Ben L. or Monument if need be?
Yeah, I have to be honest and say I'm not sure. I know that you have to meet a criteria
I heard
to,
him say that.
Free and
yeah,
reduced.
free and reduced lunch criteria, but I would be happy to have Kathy come and speak about that. She was the one that really organized that. But we had over 60 families today come and pick up food.
Can we
We'll
assume?
be talking with Donna tomorrow to get more details.
Yeah, I was going to
I was
say.
gonna say, could the,
Great.
It's Brands Bank,
those
Brands
concerned
Bank can do.
please follow that up?
Yeah,
Wonderful.
Yeah,
All right,
we can share the free
Donna.
and reduced rate.
yeah.
thank you.
Although we're not a SWIFT school, we are still engaging at Monument in multi-tiered systems of supports and interventions and instruction. November 20th, we are part of a program through UVM from Vermont Reads Institute. So they're coming down, I believe it's Monument, the middle school, Pownell, at least those 3 schools will be participating in that. So it's the same efforts, just different supports, not through SWIFT. We had a great harvest night on October 30th. It was a great school community event. First time trying it out. The staff really came together. Was, hay rides, trunk or treat, pumpkin painting. We were able to engage in our school compact. Staff was so excited, such a good response from parents. They said, we have to make this an annual event, which is really fun. And then I also wanted to share, Monument does have a Facebook page. Please like us, keep informed. We tweet also with Twitter from Monument and now with K-12 alerts, which all the schools in the SVSU are using, not just for alerts and emergency, but, and maybe early closings, but it's really a great avenue to keep parents updated. So they're all linked. So when I use K-12, goes to Twitter, goes to Facebook, more than one way to find out what's happening with your school community.
Good.
So it's exciting. Good things happening.
I want, any questions from the board?
I was just going to
any
ask
of the
Donna,
principals?
was it well attended?
The Harvest Festival,
Yes.
it was, yeah, it was.
I saw it in the paper, but I was
Yeah, it was very, very nice. It was the Thursday before Thanksgiving, so I guess it was last
Yeah,
Thursday,
same
same
time.
night.
Thursday
Yeah.
before Halloween.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
You
Not
got us a month
Thanksgiving.
ahead of time.
We already have
coming so
Thanksgiving on our mind.
But it was well-attended. PTG did a great job. Lots of activities for families to do, and some Zumba. Some past teachers from the district came back and set up Zumba for an hour and a half. So they were tired by the end of it, but it was nice.
I wanted to ask, probably ask this at each board meeting, are you people satisfied now with our computer systems? Are they heading in the right direction? Have we got the kinks worked out of the program, or are we still having some problems?
Go ahead. I was just going to say, it has moved forward. We've had some nice improvements. Monument just in themselves are still in the works of their server update, but they are making those strides. Chip Watson and Frank have been working collaboratively, and from my understanding, Chip has built this server, which is great, so we're looking forward to that coming in and giving us a little bit more support in regards to our bandwidth. Don't quote me on that. I'm not a technology guru. We do have our virtual library, which is almost full. We have about 6 more to come in, and Marcia, I believe, and Elaine Hewlett are working very quickly on that, so we're almost complete with that. But teachers have their new laptops. That was a great start for the beginning of the year, and it's moving forward, you know?
Yeah, I would say the same.
Definitely moving forward.
Yeah.
The caveat that goes with it, as with anything that is new, different, modern, ever-changing, there are always glitches, there are always problems, not that they are significant problems. So it's not going to work perfectly, and we've had great support from the tech people. Actually, I was just talking with Patty Dewey tonight. I found out that I'm getting a blue screen, not the blue screen that we're worried about, and I can't read, a certain connection. It's just part and parcel, but it's definitely, we're definitely headed in the right direction, and things are much better than they have been.
And Patty Dewey has been supporting Monument at least one day a week, which has been helpful. And their response to the tech, the tech support, where teachers individually go in and log in and create their questions or concerns, the response has been very quick from the tech department.
Okay. Questions from the board? Okay. All right. We don't have a report on special ed tonight.
No.
Policies? Any policies that we need?
There are none. They met Monday, but it was really to clean up policies that have already been warned, and then they reviewed their task list for their next board meeting. So there's nothing before you tonight, for their next policy meeting next month in December.
On number 9, committee board meeting reports. Anybody that would, Jackie, have you?
Nope, I'm not on any of those committees. The only thing I'm on is negotiations, and I'll talk to you about that later.
An executive session?
Well, Food Service Advisory Committee, we didn't meet, but what I do have to report is that they took the Mount Anthony board and the SVSU did take our recommendation, and the contract was awarded to B&G, in Pittsfield to do the renovations at the high school's kitchen. And from what I gather, the project will commence in, Jim, is it over Christmas break?
I believe it is.
Okay, we'll begin in Christmas break, so hopefully it'll all be ready to go when the kids come back. So, that's that.
All right.
What happened at the SVSU meeting?
I'm going to, I'm going to,
I thought you were going to skip over.
no,
Were you
no.
anticipating that question?
On the, I want to say, at the SVSU, we had the feature of the evening was Karen Burnell. And she and the assistant gave a detailed report on the early childhood program. And it was an excellent presentation, and I'm going to ask Jim, our superintendent, to have Karen come in at our next meeting and give you one, in as much as the numbers and the statistics and everything. It was just a wonderful, wonderful presentation, and I'd like all of you to hear that, and I'd like to use that as the report for our next month.
Presentation was next
Yes.
week.
Another thing that came up at the supervisory, I presented a request to the supervisory board that any and all questions that pertain to legal work or running up a tab with a lawyer has to be cleared by the superintendent of schools. That is, no one can call for legal work unless that item has been cleared and approved by our superintendent.
That's the way it was supposed to do.
Yes.
We got that years ago.
And that
They
was approved,
they
by
went
the
away
way.
from it, huh?
And the supervisory unanimously approved of that request. So that's going to be, I think, a major step in the right direction. And hopefully, we'll see that account start to go in the opposite direction.
I mean, board members, if they really have a question and they can't call their lawyer, they can always call the Secretary of State.
That's right, for free advice.
That's right. And she'll get back to you. Or he'll get back, whoever's there now.
Or they could,
It used to be Deb Markowitz, and she'd get right back
they
to
could
you.
request it through their board chair, that
Yeah.
then would, then it
And-
would go to the superintendent from there as well.
We also have new dates for November and December because of the holidays. On the supervisory will meet on November 18th, and the supervisory will meet on December 16th. Now, I also have a statement that I'd like to read tonight, and then if it brings up any questions, we can talk about it, but I'd like to read it. In our ongoing work to oversee the leadership of our school system, the school boards of the Southwest Vermont Supervisory Union will conduct a preliminary evaluation of our interim superintendent, Jim Culkeen. The evaluation process was designed in consultation with the Vermont School Boards Association. The VSBA will help guide the process to completion over the next 4 weeks. The process will gather feedback on the work of the superintendent from board members, school staff, and community members. That information will be used to help direct the work of the superintendent, support the effectiveness of the leadership team, board and superintendent, and inform the board in its decision-making going forward. At the end of the year, the board will conduct a comprehensive evaluation of the superintendent in an effort to continually refine the work of the leadership team. The end-year evaluation will also gather feedback from board members, school staff, and community members. Now, I wanted to say that a paper, a questionnaire, and a form will be sent Friday to all board members. All the board members in the Southwest Vermont Supervisory Union will be involved in this process. And that's to let you know that this is the preliminary. This statement is being read by every board as we meet through the next series of board meetings. but every board member on Friday of this week will get via your computer the questions, the comments, the evaluation process being used has been set up as we move forward to get this organized and moving in the right direction.
Thank you.
Okay.
Great idea.
Okay,
But we're not gonna,
just go ahead.
I just thought it would be easier if we did it as a board like we used to. I mean, I think this could
Do
be a
you
helpful.
remember the
They want it
forms that
done
we
in-
got before, that we used our board?
Yeah,
Well, it's similar to that because we've already met with the
Okay.
Vermont school boards, and it's practically the same form.
so we're basically gonna do it the same way.
Yes,
It's just I don't,
but we're just starting the process now.
because last year, what we did was we all did our own evaluation, but we came together and agreed on what we were gonna.
Yes. This time, it's going to be done individually, and then that'll be sent on, and they'll put it together for us and bring it back.
Okay.
All right, so with that information, we will now go to the superintendent's report.
Good evening. I have a presentation for you. Before I get into that, I want to talk a few things that I've been doing. I have been sitting in on some of the training that our staff and principals have been going through. I've sat through a couple of sessions of our reading initiative program that is starting at the elementary school, and hearing presentations from, we had an outside presenter come in, conduct workshops, and I sat through a morning session and part of an afternoon session. I really couldn't generate enough time to spend the whole day there, but and then this morning, I sat through one of our math, the third grade math workshop, or part of it, until they started handing out the activity test that I had to. Actually, it was fun, one of the games that they had generated. So my observations, that there's a lot of good work going on to move the school districts forward, and I'm pleased with what I'm seeing, and my eyes have been opened as I've often said, the perception that the school of some of our schools is far worse than what the reality is. And I'm seeing that with the training, and nobody is sitting still. And your principals also are both presenting and present at those workshops along with their staff. There's a price. There is, as you say, collaboration time is difficult to come by. And it also, there's a burden on the teachers that we need to get this professional development and training to, but it also results in pulling them out of classrooms to do that. So trying to balance that, to get them the training and professional development that they need, yet still meet the learning, teaching and learning requirements of the school is a balance. But I'm liking what I'm saying. Last week, along with Jackie, I was up in Fairleigh, Vermont on Thursday and Friday at the joint Vermont School Board Association, Vermont Superintendents Association Conference. A lot of good information, workshops, presentations. We sat through, I'm sure some of you remember Bill Daggett, you must know that name, is on moving your schools forward.
That was an eye-opener.
It was. And that's along with the normal daily routines, negotiations, preparation for negotiations, and budgets, and all of that. So the presentation I'm going to show you now, first I'll tell you it was an 18-minute video, so before you all know, it's cut down. Some of you have seen this video. This was a presentation at the Regional Vermont School Board Association, and it was also at the Superintendents Association. So you're not going to see a video at all. You're going to see a slide presentation, and I have handouts on it. So hopefully we'll be done this in 5 or 10 minutes. And the last slide will be a link, if you want to, on your own, watch the full video, you can. But I think it's important that we see some of the slides, particularly for the statistics that I have additional copies for people. I have, as we enter budget season, negotiations, and a new legislative session coming up, I think this snapshot of where Vermont schools are is important to look at. What I want to do after we look at this, in a future meeting, I want to come back with these same statistics for our school districts, for how they affect us. The other presentation that I decided not to give you tonight because of time is the Secretary of State's presentation, Rebecca Holcomb. I will do the same thing. I'm going to consolidate that, and at a future meeting, I will give you her slides and her presentation. So. Oh, that would be great if you could do that, because then I could read. Okay. Go ahead to the first line. Go ahead, we can skip that one. First thing I want to draw your attention, you'll see in 1999 what the per pupil expenditure was in the state of Vermont and what it is today. So I don't know if you've seen these statistics before, I apologize, but if you haven't, as we start to build budgets and all of that, it's important to see. Next slide. Yet at the same time, you've seen what's happened to the average daily membership totals, or how many students K through 12 there are in the state of Vermont. You had 103,000 statewide in 1997. You've dropped down to below 82,000. You're at 82,000. Next, please. You can see that this is a bar graph of where you were. So in 10 years ago, in the year 2000, FY 2000, you were a little under 10,000 in per pupil expenditure, and now you're close to 17,000. Next. Typical for most school systems. Again, I want to give you these statistics for our school systems, our different districts as we get there, but you'll see that 80% of what we spend in schools is directly related to who we employ, salary and benefits. Only 20% of our budgets go to other areas. Next, please.
It's true.
Yet, here's an interesting slide. You saw what happened with student enrollment in a 10-year period. Teachers and paraprofessionals, this is statewide now, has remained constant. Now, Secretary Holcomb said in her comment, you know, things have also changed in how education is delivered that has required additional staff, particularly for some of the specials that we have to deliver to students. That does affect this, but there are other things that need to be considered. Next. Vermont enjoys one of the lowest student-teacher ratios in the country, and it certainly is the lowest in New England. 9.9 students per teacher. Next. And you can see this is just looking at Vermont, where you were as recently as 2010, 2011, almost 11 students per teacher to now 9.9. Next. Now, and we see this when we try to recruit teachers, particularly being in southwestern Vermont, close to Massachusetts and New York, and in many of our harder to fill positions. Vermont salaries are lower. The only New England state with a lower average salary is Maine. Next, please. So the benefits that are 20% of our budget, or 19% of our budget, you can see there are the costs for our most popular plan and what a family plan is actually costing. The full cost was in FY14, $20,197, and that's the full cost, not what the employer pays. We pay our percentage, they pay theirs. Next. Now, this is statewide free and reduced lunch. We all have heard what it is here in Bennington. We know that it is higher here, so we in Bennington are well above the state average for free and reduced lunch. Next. Statewide, you can see how special ed has crept up over the total cost of education. Yet, the state continues to put responsibilities on school districts that affect our budget. We've discussed in some of our most recent meetings, universal pre-K, and the other thing that's hitting us in 2014 is retired teachers' health care benefits. There's a charge back to the school districts now on that that wasn't there before, to help pay for health insurance for retirees. And you can see where just over in the past 4 years where other mandates have come onto our public schools from the state. Next, please. A little bit of a snapshot of Vermont. Now, you can see where Vermont, compared to other states, really has a high percentage of smaller school districts. And I think we all know where the state is coming from when they start providing statistics like this. You know, what happened with the legislature last year, the push for consolidation. And that for those who were present at the Regional Vermont School Board Association meetings, you understand that the commissioner was pretty blunt in her conversations about that. You can see that the percentage of property tax to pay for education is growing, and I think anyone who's seen their property bill, tax bill, knows that. And the percentage from the state is pretty much stable from the general fund. There's not really been any relief from there. The increases in education spending have been paid for on the local level. Next. So along with the lower teacher salaries, Vermont is also, and this affects potential increases in taxes and funding rates, Vermont has a lower median household income than, well, you can see for the graph, other than Maine. Next. I'm not going to get into this one. You can go ahead and skip this one. And now this here goes to, and I presented this earlier this evening in Woodford. You know, they're very concerned about the possibility of eliminating small school grants. These are things that were seriously considered in the last legislative session. The ADM hold harmless. What that is if our student numbers drop, they hold us harmless for 1 year. Our funding level remains the same. That almost went away last year. That stayed the same. We are not losing students, and that will come in a future presentation. I'm not going to get into that tonight. We are not losing students as rapidly as other districts in Vermont are. And as I mentioned earlier, creating new supervisory service regions to consolidate. You know, the Secretary of Education talked about high schools in Vermont with fewer than 100 students, and that they really are looking at, they want schools in the 500 range. Next. We'll go ahead, skip that one for now, skip that. What is working well? I mean, we have a very high graduation rate in Vermont, 92%. Yet our critics will point out that we also have one of the lowest rates of students who go on to college. So the question for all of us to investigate and find out is, what is the reason for that? Is it because tied to that poverty rate and tied to really to the poverty rate? Is it too expensive to go to college? Where some will say, well, are we so focused on graduation that we're graduating some students who aren't prepared for college? That's the hard question we have to look at. We might not like the answer, but we got to look at it. So that high graduation rate could come, and this also was raised by the Secretary of Education, is that coming from actually lowered graduation requirements as compared to a national average? Next. Income certainly has an effect on graduation. You can see that if you're a non-free and reduced lunch student in the state of Vermont, you're 95% likely to graduate, 75% if you're on free and reduced lunch. Next, please. Now, that gap on graduation rates versus free and reduced lunch is narrowing in the country, but it is stagnant in Vermont. Next. So this ties to what I said about graduation rate versus post-secondary enrollment rate. But you can see clearly it is gender-driven and the first generation and not first generation students, which also is typically tied to the poverty rate. Next. Just to point out, I think statistics that we all assume and already know. Here's the statistics on the earning rate of a high school diploma, a 2-year degree, typically technical, and a college degree. So that gap is still very much present. Thanks. And that's it. And that link on the bottom is where you can go if you want to watch the total 18-minute presentation on this rather than the Jim Culkeen snapshot. There you have it.
Thank you.
And I will continue bringing these presentations to you in an abbreviated session. As I said, next month I hope to bring Secretary Holcomb's presentation. I know you all can't go to these regional meetings, but I think it's important that you see the statistics. And that concludes my report. Any questions?
Any questions for Jim from the administration or the board?
I want to make a comment.
All right, go ahead, Jackie.
We were at the Lake Maury Conference, and it was an eye-opener on how we deliver education and the different ways we really do need to start trending towards. Our students need to be able, not necessarily always able to answer the question, but they need to know how to figure it out and find the answer, you know. And we're in a digital world, and it's only going to be more, and we're going to this new whatever from 1 point to 3 point. I mean, this guy went on. But the thing that sticks in my mind the most is only 30% of the kids that graduate high school are eligible to go into service. The service will not take 70% of the kids that graduate from high school.
Yeah. For various, everything from not criminal records, medical, obesity.
And just,
Yeah.
they're not, they can't pass the test. They have a test to enter the military now.
And their reading standards are much higher than what they were because of the technical nature of the military these days.
It was that way a few years ago, though, too.
Yeah.
5 years ago, that's so much.
But, you know, just,
He
what do
also,
you mean?
he also pointed out that 70% of high school students this day that do not get a college degree, up to 70% of them will need some form of public assistance in their lifetime.
We're getting a, well, I don't, Jim, you signed up for it. I did too. We're supposed to get this packet from the speaker, and we'll share that with the board when we get it. There's a lot of good information in it. He did a lot, it's the whole slide presentation he did through the, for his speech, you know, which went on for 3 hours, so.
Which was really
But
based
it
about
was very
transforming your
interesting.
school system.
Yeah.
I wanted to go back to the supervisory for just a minute on 2 items. One, that there's been a request made from parents in another district, but it may also pertain to our district, where parents are having a difficult time helping their children with homework, especially math. So
I complained for years.
I want to call on Jim again to tell you what's being done in order to help this problem out. Jim?
I know that many of the schools are starting parent math nights. And any of you want to pipe in about exactly what you're doing in your own school? I know that I'm more familiar right now, and I know I'm at a BSD meeting, with what you've been doing with Pownell, which is where the original request came from, that I first heard about parents who can't help their kids with the new math and the Go Math program. So anybody want to jump in and go?
Well,
Yeah.
I could just share with the support of Pat Conway, our math consultant for the district. She actually led the programs at Pownell, and we've already secured her to do the same
So they haven't started there yet
presentations
for you?
at Monument. So they're either going to occur in December or January, one of those months. We're working around her schedule, and she actually is going to divide it into 3 sessions, K1, 2, 3, and a 4, 5 session for
Pownell's
parents.
third night is tomorrow night, I
Yeah.
believe, and so, and we're gonna continue to roll that out. And the attendance has been good, but, not overwhelming at this point, but it might take time to get that word out that is.
But Pownell also has like pizza night when they do these things too.
Yeah.
Right.
I know some of
So
the
you're saying it
parents.
takes bribery to get?
Yes.
The whole family comes.
Have you thought of filming it and putting it on Cat TV?
Actually, we had a conversation, Pat and Laura Boudreau came to our staff meeting, did some work with our staff yesterday, and there was conversation about videotaping, actually lessons and how to help your children, and then placing them on YouTube or on our site, our SVSU site, so parents can click right on it and get the exact example of how to do that with your child. So there was
And Pat and
definitely
Laura are-
conversation of
Because
that.
many, because their work schedules, won't be able to make
Right,
Right.
the after-school thing, but they may be able to view it in the morning. or-
right. And we try to do it in early evening, and, certainly offer pizza.
And I get it, I experienced it firsthand today when I walked into this third grade math workshop, and Laura Boudreau says, "Oh, good, you're here at the perfect time, we're doing an activity." You ran back out? I couldn't, I wanted to, but I couldn't, because I realized what that would look like, so I sat there, and they were playing the game 24. Are you familiar with the game 24 they were doing? So it's you roll a dice and 4 numbers come up, and you have 2 minutes to, you have to do any combination of those numbers to come up to 24, and you get more points for if it's a multiplication or subtraction problem, rather than just simple addition. And you have a partner to do it, and
Sounds hard to me.
initially it was, but I did win 1 stick, so it's just, I don't do that every day. So I understand why a parent could struggle with it. I don't do that I'm so removed from that kind of math, but by the 3rd round, I was starting to process it a little bit better, but I had great instructors, so.
So, are we saying that the math that all of us came up with,
Doesn't exist anymore.
Don't say all of us.
it's
Don't say all
gone?
of us.
I think she's implying you're older.
Well, no, it's
No,
not.
I've had 4 different kinds.
Yeah.
As a teacher, we've been through these processes 4 different ways.
Yeah.
And the current process is like back 20 years ago. They called that the new math.
Are there any other questions on that? The other point that I wanted to mention at the supervisory, our first budget meeting is tomorrow at the central office, our first budget meeting for the supervisory, and it starts at
3:30.
3 o'clock.
3 o'clock?
3, and goes to 5:30 tomorrow.
You doing it?
I am, but if you'd like to come, is there anybody that would like to come?
Hey, look, I did it last year.
But if there's anybody, really, any board member that would like to come, I offer you that invitation seriously
I can't
to
come
come.
before.
Even for part of it, if you'd like to come.
I'll try to do it at 4, George.
All right? Thank you very much.
When are we gonna start meeting?
We can, Rick is ready to go if are we ready to?
Well, I think it's awful when we get it jammed down our throat, you know, in
So
the
we-
middle of December and
I-
half of January.
I thought Rick said something about December's meeting, we're supposed to start.
Start on the
Okay.
preliminary.
And then there was going to be meetings during
get that.
December.
On there for December.
Which is good,
All
yeah.
right. We're going to need
Put it on my task list, Jackie, please.
we're going to need a short executive session on negotiations and a personnel problem, informational.
Got to do the task list first.
Right.
Task list.
Are there any other items to be brought up for the meeting?
No.
If not, okay, go ahead, Jackie.
Discuss costs for summer programs at the next meeting. The board will do this, and Jackie's gonna find out when the petitions have to be handed in. We're gonna review treasurer's report in December. I got April.
Wow,
I thought that's what it said.
It did.
you're already looking for
wrote
nice
April.
weather.
Ad hoc committee will meet to look at zone and attendance. Need to meet before the December meeting so we can report at the December meeting.
Very good.
And then, facilities committee, that's kind of a question mark because I don't know what we're gonna do. Future meeting, present situation and analysis of our schools. Jim Culkeen, I didn't assign a month because you didn't say when you were gonna do it.
Okay.
And Secretary Holcomb's presentation, you're gonna do at the next meeting?
You're gonna get one or both of those at the next meeting and then follow up on that.
All right. And BSD budget meeting schedule, we'll know that by the December meeting.
Good job.
That's it.
And you're gonna give me that and we'll.
Yes, I will.
We'll
Make a
scan
motion,
it
we
and
go
email
into
it to you.
executive session?
I'll second it.
All those in favor? Okay. Meeting's adjourned.